All right. Welcome into this edition of the Milwaukee Bucks on Tap podcast. Corey Moen, Evan Byrne. Evan, how we doing?
Doing well. The winning streak continues. I think 4 in a row now. I think the Bucks are at, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, I think it is. Now, granted, it was against two lowly opponents.
Yeah.
So it is completely understandable. Like, these are wins Milwaukee should have picked up.
Yes, the much needed wins.
They should have won these games. Okay, there was a little fear that Milwaukee would have ended Detroit's losing streak. Instead, yikes, that did not happen. So, getting into the first game that happened on Saturday night, the Milwaukee Bucks beat the Detroit Pistons 146-114, being up by as much as, I would say, 30 points.
Yeah, it was like 30-34 or something. I know above 30, but yeah, they kept it pretty consistent. They got it down to like 18 at one point. Got a little nervous now, but they kept a very high, consistent margin for differential throughout the game.
Because here's the thing. Here's why I haven't got nervous. Because it's not the Milwaukee's blown leads, but like they play basketball. Like they take the foot off the gas almost.
Yes.
It feels like. It feels like they are like, we're just gonna chill, man. We got this big lead. And, when Milwaukee starts turning the ball over, there's defensive breakdowns. Like, there's a lot of things that go into it. So we weren't nervous the fact Milwaukee was going to lose, but we were nervous about the fact that, here we go again. They're relaxing. And, you just didn't want that. You did not want that to happen. And I just wrote down the stats here. I hope I have them right. Bobby Portis scored 31 points.
He did, yes. Season high. 31. Lot of like second chance and one. Like he had, I think it was 2 possessions in a row. There was an and one put back like halfway in the paint. Got everyone fired up. Yeah, he was 11 for 18, 31 points, 12 rebounds. I would say a good statement game for him this season. He's been like consistent like 12 to 15-ish points this year, but that was a game I think he needed, not only for like his sake, but just Bucks momentum in general. That was a really good statement game for him.
This also speaks to how bad the Detroit Pistons are.
Yeah.
There's no way not that I'm saying Bobby Portis isn't a talented player, because he is, but in any regulation basketball game, there's no way Bobby Portis should be dropping a 30-piece on you. No, just no way. I just don't think he has the I'm going to say it. I don't think he has the offensive skill set to be a 30-point guy.
No, not at all. He averages
18 maybe. That's his ceiling, but 30 points. This really speaks to how putrid and horrible and god-awful the Detroit Pistons have been. Like, Bobby Portis, like, you should feel the Detroit Pistons this year have had a lot of low moments. But Bobby Portis scoring 31 points
off
against
the bench.
your team, off the bench, that should be like an indicator. Jesus, we got to fix something. And before I really get into the game, like, how is Detroit not making any changes? How have they not fired their GM yet? Okay, because they need to stop with the whole. Well, they're rebuilding. 2 wins is not rebuilding.
They've been rebuilding for years, and they've gotten worse.
Like, okay, honestly, like, people are talking about the talent on the roster. They have the number 1 overall pick. It's not a very good roster. It's really not. And poor Bogdanovich, because they didn't want to trade him. Or they didn't want any team to like steal. So now Bogdanovich is wasting his good years away in Detroit.
Yep.
When he used to be in Utah being a really solid shooter. But now he's the best. Now he's like one of the best players on the Detroit Pistons.
Yeah, it's him and Cade. You could throw in James Wiseman. I don't think he's been playing that bad. but when James Wiseman is arguably your third best player, not looking too good in my opinion. But yeah, I know Bogdanovich had been hurt for a little bit, comes back and has a 24-point game, but you lose by 32. That's not really going to do you much any different. But I don't know what's going on there, but I know during the game they talked about Monty Williams. Obviously, they brought him in as their new coach. For those who don't know, from the Suns, you go from the Suns to the Pistons. Like you were in the finals 2 years ago. Now you're nowhere near 10 wins. They had said that they interviewed him, talked about like, oh yeah, it's a bit of a challenge though this year. I'm like, yeah, it's a challenge. You're not doing anything about it. You have decent guys who I think can put not a playoff record, but you could get the 10 or maybe the 11th seed. But damn, looking at some of these guys, and some of them can actually hoop. Some of them are doing really well, but I don't know. I don't know what to say. Deep down, I had a weird feeling that the Bucks could potentially lose this game, like we mentioned earlier, because we'll play down a little bit. But 5 minutes into the game, like, all right, yeah, we're good.
Like, I don't know if they have yet, but I think they've surpassed the losing streak the Cleveland Cavaliers had back in 2010.
I know they're close. Is that like the longest losing streak?
Was it 27 games? I forgot like what the exact, like 25, 26 games.
Yeah, I think they're close to tying it and breaking it. I'm like, all right, here we go. We're going to be the one to break it or end the streak, I should say. But yeah, it was just not a good game for the Bucks. I mean, for the Pistons overall. Has been a good season, but yeah, 26 consecutive games in 2010 they lost. So Pistons have lost what now, like 23 in a row, I think, something like that.
They haven't won a game since October.
Yes.
That's even more insane in and of itself. Like if I'm the Detroit Pistons, I don't even know what I'm going to do. The fact that you have not won a game in almost 2 months.
It's not football where you play 4 games a month roughly.
No, you play. There's a lot of opportunities in one game. So what it makes it really hard for what the Detroit Pistons are doing, because it's hard to lose that much.
Yes.
So, and to give a little background, so their general manager is named Troy Weaver. Okay, he at one point was an assistant coach for Syracuse for about a year under Jim Boeheim. And like more recently, he was the assistant general manager, I believe, for the Oklahoma City Thunder. So I don't know if they think he's doing what Sam Presti's doing, where it's like, well, hey, you gotta give him some time. You know, the team's gonna be bad for a few years. They've been bad since he got there. Like how many guys do you look at that roster and you see, okay, how many guys could legit turn into good players? Like James Wiseman's a throwback, old-fashioned big, so it's not going to be him. Kate Cunningham could. Marcus Sass was talented, but other than that, like who do you look at and you're just like, yeah, no, that like we have those players to rely on.
I think what really threw me off for the Pistons was watching Kevin Knox get up off the bench and go in the game. I completely forgot about that guy ever since he left New York. Totally forgot about him. He was supposed to be like one of the next big guys. I'm like, damn, he's not even getting minutes on the Pistons. It is, yeah. It's something just isn't going right for them, but everything I think went right for the Bucks, and everything that they did was what I think the Bucks' expectations should be when they're playing these below average teams. Not obviously the Pistons will be a bigger blowout, but like seeing these teams that have 10 or less wins, like this should be crush them in the beginning and just slowly build a lead throughout the game. Don't kind of play down. Don't make it tricky. It's like this is what they need to do, and they actually did it. And I think it made it easier for them, obviously momentum-wise. And I think this game, everyone did something to contribute in a way. Like, scoring was pretty scattered. Obviously, you had Bobby and Giannis, and Lillard had the higher amounts, but scoring, if you weren't scoring, you were doing something else. And I don't know. I felt comfortable with that game, especially from Marjan too. He started 11 points, had a poster right in the beginning of the game at the first 7 points. I don't know. Everyone felt comfortable that game, and they actually contributed outside of just one person doing it all. And I felt it meshed kind of together to just have one actual good game this year that like I felt was like that's what you should have done. You did it. Let's move on to the next game. But like my God, they crushed the Pistons.
Yeah, it wasn't even close. Like that was probably ever since the Hornets game in mid-December. Like that was the best Milwaukee has looked in a long time. Okay, I understand what people are saying. It's like, oh, Milwaukee's 19-7, but the defense just wasn't where we wanted it to be.
Yeah.
And kind of coming off the incident that happened against Indiana, like Milwaukee just kind of needed to reset a little bit, just relax, and obviously they were able to do that against the Detroit Pistons.
And I don't know if you probably noticed, but Bucks got 2 more bench players near the end of the game. The Bucks were beating the Pistons by so much. Giannis's 2 sons decided to join them on the bench, and they sat on the bench for the last 5 minutes of the game in the fourth quarter. That was funny, and it was going viral. Like, imagine getting beaten so bad your opponent's kids are sitting on the bench. Last 5 minutes, I think it was like 4:55 left in the game. Liam and I forgot his other son's name were sitting on the bench with the team. Hey, if you got Giannis, you can do whatever you want when you're up by 30.
But what's more embarrassing, though, because I think you remember this moment, Giannis's sons sitting on the bench, or when Cleveland back a few years ago were playing games.
Yeah, they were water flipping.
Yeah. When they were beating the Knicks by like 100.
When you get bored, you got to do something to have some company. Yeah,
but that's got to be more embarrassing for the Knicks, though, because Giannis's kids, you kind of understand it because athletes like will take their kids basically anywhere. Like they can bring them to press conferences. Like it's kind of an extension of what they already do. But I think if like Milwaukee were like playing like a not waterbout foot because that's like so outdated now. But if they were to do something else, like play a game, like on the bench, I feel like that'd be a lot more embarrassing than if he just brought his kids.
Too good. But yeah, I would say other notable performances. So obviously Bobby, I would say, was more the player of the game, point wise and just rebound wise, just because he kind of needed that game. I want to give this game and the next game, I want to give praise to Andre Jackson Jr. I know in the beginning of the year, we kind of mentioned that he's a very sleeper pick for them. He's been doing so well these last few games that he's been getting consistent minutes for, and I am excited to kind of see how he progresses. Obviously, he'll not be like some Rookie of the Year candidate. He's not going to be anything like that, but his contributions, I think, are extremely slept on, and I have not heard any socials even mention his name ever. And I feel like he's going under the radar as to what he's able to produce for the Bucks, because it might not, again, go in the stat sheet, but he is everywhere, and it's starting to be extremely underrated of how he's not been mentioned by any analyst for anything.
And his 3-point, like his 3-point shot, it's hiking up a little bit. He'll make like a couple of games too.
Again, you don't need him to score 15, 20 points. If he had 10 points in the Pistons game. If he can make 8 to 10 points, awesome. But if he also continues what he does on offensive rebounds and defensive stops, perfect. It's a bonus, It's like what Javon Carter wanted them to do, and now he's just going to do that, I think, a little better. Javon had more of a scoring, but I think Andre is very good just being able to be a passed-on offense. Going for loose balls, even if they don't get the ball back, he's still fighting for everything, and I don't know, I like to see it, and he is starting to turn into a really decent all-around rookie for them this year. They haven't really had a good rookie in a while that's been proven like that. I honestly probably since Brogdon. in my opinion, who's fit in very quickly with the team itself. But I don't know. I'm excited to continue to watch him. I was hoping for him at the start of the season, and now he's getting minutes, looking a lot better.
Yeah, and I think earlier in the season, like Griffin wanted to maybe see more of AJ Green. And I think for the most part, AJ Green's like he's kind of filled his quote unquote role pretty nicely. Like he's hit some threes and
Mm-hmm.
he's not gonna be a world beater defensively, but I think he's probably gotten more of an opportunity than Coach Bud gave him last year.
Yeah, he's like he'll either play like 15 to 20 minutes or he'll get in for like 6 to 9 minutes. The Pistons game, he played 20, had 3 3-pointers. Again, did what he needed to do, had his 9 points. Stat wise, I feel like he's not going to be like a rebound guy, an assist guy. He's just going to be, oh, I'm open, I'm going to shoot it. And that's kind of what his role is, just a catch and shoot guy. So, again, if he can make 2 3-pointers off the bench, boom, perfect. Yeah, Pat Connaughton is back. I think that was his first game, if I'm not mistaken, back. Had 12 points in his 6 points in his 12 minutes. Robin Lopez didn't look good at all.
When does he ever look good?
Exactly.
Like, I don't mean here's the thing. I don't mean to crap on a guy, but it's like, geez, it makes sense why Robin Lopez doesn't play many minutes.
It's just unfortunate because he didn't do too bad the last time they had him, and when he was on the Bulls, he wasn't too bad. Like he has a decent little 3-pointer that he used to have. Obviously not as good as Brooks, but yeah, it's unfortunate that he's just kind of fallen off and he's still on the team.
He shot I don't know if this was the Pistons game or the Rockets game. It was the Pistons game. He shot a 3.
It bricked.
It was off the backboard.
It was. Yep.
On the side of the rim. And I'm like, me and my brother were marking. It's like, God, what happened to him? Yep. Well, he got old. He got old. Like, I honestly don't know what John Horst was thinking with that signing, but it's pretty apparent as soon as you saw Robin Lopez playing an NBA game, you're just like, oh God, we can't play this guy when the minutes are important.
Yeah.
You can't stop a nosebleed.
Yeah, it's bad when you take a wide open 3 and the crowd's like, yeah, and then the bricks are like, ah. They're like, ooh, so close, almost got it.
And his 3, like you said, it was a lot better than when the first time around, but now it's just.
He just sank. He fell off, which is unfortunate because I liked him as a player on any team that he was on. But yeah, it'll be a garbage minute kind of career, I think, for the end for him.
Well, okay, then if that's the way it's gonna be, then we might when the buyout market we could buy him out, and we could pick up another backup center. Because trust me, in the playoffs, we're gonna need another guy.
Yeah, especially if Bobby doesn't produce how he has the last 2 years. Yeah, you're gonna need someone else. and he's not gonna be the answer.
Who? I don't know because DeMarcus Cousins is off the market.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'll have to see. Center-wise, I'm sure someone will get bought out, but yeah, they'll definitely need someone late in the game.
Yeah, true. So, all right, good win for Milwaukee. Knocked off the Detroit Pistons 146-114 on Saturday night. Evan, on Sunday, which, by the way, very rare that Milwaukee will play 2 weekend games.
Yes.
That's rare in an NBA schedule. So, but they did. They were playing I'll call them the upstart Houston Rockets.
Mm-hmm.
Knocked them off 128-119. Kind of a barn burner game. Detroit's a little more feisty.
Yeah, you could definitely tell it was a back-to-back game. Even if it was 2 home games, it was still a little rough to start out. It was close for, honestly, the whole game. I think the Bucks' biggest lead was 13, which in today for the NBA, that's a run for a team. But yeah, it was what was the final score? 128-119. I would say the last few minutes in the game, Chris Middleton really heated up and just kind of took over, did what he needed to do. That's fourth quarter Chris Middleton for you. Either doesn't show up or he's Michael Jordan. But yeah, I would say overall, back-to-back games against the Rockets, they got the crap beat out of them last year to the Rockets, and they didn't have half of these guys that they do this year. But I would say overall, it was just a very well-rounded game, back-to-back. Lillard, I think, was the player of the game for them. Consistent shooting, and he had 39, and I think that was 2 more than his home opener. For the Sixers, I think he scored 37. But other than Lillard, I got to find where the points are on this thing. Giannis at the second highest with 26, Chris at 20. Big three doing what they need to do. But otherwise, just a game from what I got from it. What about you?
Yeah, kind of the same thing. Like you just kind of figured that the game against the Rockets was going to be a bit of a dogfight, especially from the perspective of them having Fred VanVleet, always been a Bucks killer. Jeff Green, always been a Bucks killer.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like that. None of that really surprised me. Is that those guys had good games, but Dame had a good weekend. Dame put up a couple of winning performances over the weekend. He had 39. And there weren't. I don't know if there were like any really takeaways I could take away from this game, other than obviously Giannis having 26. But I'm gonna be some, and there were some moments where I honestly forgot the Bucks were playing on Sunday, so I kind of had to like quickly watch it. So
I had to rewatch it too. I know I was out for that, but I tried to. If I can't watch the game, I try to like somewhat follow it, but then I also don't want to follow it. If they win, awesome. If they don't, okay. I don't know if I'll rewatch it, but there wasn't like any like notable plays. I think the one that I did see before I watched it was I think in the fourth quarter. Damian Lillard broke Sengun's ankles and had some nasty step back three that he made. Wasn't like a ankle kind of ankle breaker, but his ankles got a little stumbly as a tall man himself. I think not Brooke. Lillard's 3-pointers I think looked some of the best tonight. He took 8. Which I feel like is a decent amount for him. He'll take like 8 to 12, but it was consistent. He shot 5 for 8, about like 62% or so. He looks good. Some of the shots he took overall, I felt like a couple of them could have gone in, airballed a few. But I think overall this was his best game this season. I know I say that a lot, but then he like does it again. Just efficient shooting from the field and from 3. Had a double-double with 11 assists and I think 5 rebounds or so. So just very consistent game. Again, Giannis was the scorer this one. It was Lillard, and I'm fine with that. But just an overall good game from him. Again, Andre Jackson Jr. chipped in 9 points again. Again, just kind of getting the guys that don't really play a lot some more minutes. And I think down the next, I want to say, so tomorrow, Thursday, and Saturday, or sorry, tomorrow and Thursday are the Bucks' last 2 home games for the 6-game stand. I think they can hold off and go 6-0. I hope so. I think the only thing will be the Magic game. I haven't really been following the Magic since they beat us, but I know they're still like in second or third place, like tied with us. But it'll be interesting. I know tomorrow you had mentioned earlier that Wembanyama is not playing. I think whether he was playing or not, the Bucks are going to beat him. I think it should be like a Pistons game. They're doing just as bad. But Magic game, I'm hoping they can bounce back and start a new streak against the Magic. But it'll be interesting. I think they can go 2 more, but I hope they can win on Thursday because I'm going to the game, and so are you. I just want to go and see a win.
Yeah, and Orlando obviously has a very talented team with the Wagner twins and Banchero, and they have a talented roster, and we'll see if they could kind of keep up the pace that they're on right now, because they could be finally a playoff team, and they haven't made the playoffs in over a decade. So
no,
what?
2020.
Damn. You know what? I forget. I forget about that year.
That was the last time, and that was
okay. All right,
the
let me
Bucks went in first round.
rephrase what I'm going to say. They haven't made the playoffs in a regular format.
Yes.
In well over a decade.
Yep. Yes.
Because let's be honest here, I don't really count the COVID playoffs because they were letting everyone and their mother in. So I'm sorry. I'm going to be one of those. I'm going to stand here firmly and say I don't count the COVID playoffs.
Yeah, would it have been like
Lakers want to consider that championship? Fine, I get it. It was hard to win, but I mean, realistically, in a normal format, like. Although they were decent today because they did still have Vucevic and all those guys. So
yeah, him.
In normal format, they haven't made the playoffs in well over a decade.
Yeah, since 2015 they've made the playoffs twice. If you're counting 2020, so I would assume around 2015-16. I don't remember who was on that team, but yeah, Magic are looking good. I'm kind of excited just because. It's always nice to see a rebuild somewhat work out. Again, it's still early in the season. You never know what's going to happen. I was just looking at the conference just because I hadn't looked at it in a while. They're in fourth. They're 16-9. Again, still well above 500, ahead of the Heat and Knicks by a game and a half in 2 games. So they're looking well. They're on a little losing streak. So hopefully they can continue that when they get here on Thursday. But I don't know, overall, looking forward to the next few games or so because then they're going to have the back-to-back against the Knicks on the 23rd and then the Christmas game. God, if they can just win on Christmas this year, it'll make it a lot better because they're playing in the morning. And when they play in the morning and they lose, God, my day, it's just it worsens. But, yeah, hopefully they can beat the Knicks. They've lost to them in the past on Christmas. But we'll see. We'll see.
Wait, had they?
Yeah, was it like 2018? Did they lose to the Knicks on Christmas?
I thought they beat the Knicks on Christmas and lost to the 76ers.
Let me look. Bucks Christmas games. Now I got to look in the past.
I don't remember because like ever since they became good, they've lost I would say twice on Christmas. They lost to the Celtics last year. I think they lost to the 76ers in the 2019-2020 season.
Oh, yes. Yeah. I flipped those two. They beat the Knicks, lost to the Sixers. Yeah, 2018-19. Yeah, they've played since 2018, and they've won 1, 2, 3 of them. Yeah, lost to the Sixers and then lost to the Celtics last year. But still, we got to win.
Yeah, you got to beat the Knicks.
And I think those are our last 2 games against the Knicks already, if I'm not mistaken. They've already played 2 against them.
Yeah.
All right.
And it's in New York, too?
Yeah, both are in New York, unfortunately, because I would have tried to go. I went to the Celtics one a few years ago, and they came back by 24. Oof, what a game. What a game. But, yeah, 2 games against the Knicks back-to-back the 23rd. No, sorry, not back-to-back. Back-to-back games for them, but not back-to-back days. 23rd and then on Christmas.
Yeah, I still can't believe we're almost into 2024. That's crazy. That's
Jesus. Christmas is technically a week away. Today's Monday, right? Yeah, a week away.
Week away.
And then it'll be summer.
We gotta get the winter first.
True. Right? I don't even think it's considered winter yet. It's like been in and out for the weather. It was like 48 degrees, and then today it was like let's be 16 or like 20. It feels like 16. It was freezing today.
Yeah, it was windy.
Well, if it weren't for the wind, yeah.
It's not truly winter until I have to worry about driving. Like, I have to worry about, like, us getting dumped, like, 4 or 5 inches of snow and having to drive, like, really ridiculously snow just to make sure I don't like crash or anything. So, yeah, it's not winter yet because I can safely.
Yeah, 21st. So Thursday when we go to the game, that's considered the first day of winter. I don't like the snow. I feel like it's not going to snow in December. That's my hot take because the seasons they're all over the place. If you live in Wisconsin, you're listening to this. They're all over the place right now. But yes, that's all I got. So again, upcoming games repeat So tomorrow they play against the Spurs home, and then the Magic on Thursday for their last 6-game homestand, and then the Knicks the 23rd and the 25th, and then they'll finish out the new year with the Nets and the Cavs. So they got 6 more games in 2023.
Yep. So I don't have anything else. Evan, what about you?
That's all I got. Again, looking for, keeping that win streak going, again, against the Spurs and the Magic. Hopefully they can go a nice 6-0 homestand and then push into the end of the year. And again, once the new year starts and we're into January, that's when we're going to start nitpicking the team a lot more on some of the games that they're playing. That is when that's like judgment time of, all right, Bucks are still not doing this well. Let's figure out what they need to do. That'll be rumors of potential trade market more as the trade deadline will continue to start to arise for the Bucks itself or just the NBA in general. But yeah, we're well into the season already. So yeah, we'll see what happens this week. But otherwise, yeah, that's all I got.
Yep. So like Evan mentioned, Milwaukee has 6 games remaining, and obviously we'll be there to bring you all that action. So thank you guys for tuning in to the Milwaukee Bucks on Tap podcast, and we'll see you whenever.
Yeah.
Whenever.